Welcome to RealtyCast Global, where we bring insights and advice from top professionals in the global market. Join us for a journey of culture and real estate from countries across the globe. My guest today is Eric Van Hoorde from Panama. Eric's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and he is the past president for FIABCI Panama. He owns his own company called Van Hoorde Realty in Panama City, and he's known as a global realtor, heavily involved with NAR and all the global aspects that NAR has to offer. Eric, thanks for being on our program today. I certainly appreciate you accepting the invitation.
Thank you, Hugh. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
I'm so happy you could be here. Let's just start right out of the chute. We've got a lot to talk about, and I'd like to focus today on the current real estate market in Panama. If you could give us a little bit of an update about what you're experiencing there, that would be great.
Sure, definitely. Let me tell you, actually, nowadays, Panama is doing very good. We do have before and after COVID as everyone. And then what we're doing right now is that what we have to see is how was the market before COVID and how we're doing after COVID. A lot of people say, forget about COVID, that was a while ago. It's not that far away. So we have to consider how was the country before the period and after the period. If you have a lot of inventory, it takes some time just to consume the inventory. And then in our case, we used to have a lot of inventory for commercial properties that now we're starting to feel that we're doing much better, because we're actually consuming those inventories. So definitely, we still talk a little bit about COVID because it's not like something that was like yesterday. We're not too far away. But in general, I feel that the country is very attractive. When we talk about the region, everybody knows that Panama is one of the top countries on the region, and is very attractive for investors. The government have a lot of incentive for international companies to move to Panama, and they give incentives to the company themselves. And then at the end, all these multinational companies that come to our country, they start helping and supporting the economy itself.
I see. And that makes sense completely. I mean, it seems like everybody uses COVID as a measuring stick about before and after. But I feel like that just what I've seen with Panama, I mean, you're really selling a lot of properties there. I feel like that baby boomers probably have a huge direction as far as moving there because of opportunities for economical living, number one. But more importantly, I think also that you have people moving there for vacation homes, for other type of investment properties, and in short-term rentals also. If you were looking at making, just say you're in the United States and you're looking at making an investment in Panama, where would you say would be like the 2 or 3 most popular places to invest in residential properties?
Okay, when we talk about investing, we have to focus on what is the purpose of the investment. Just to get a return on investment, it's a property that you might use eventually or a few months per year. So that's the first question. Let's say that you're only looking for the return on investment. I believe that it should be in the city of Panama, and we do have a lot of demand for small units in the city, on the financial district, on the areas of Costa del Este, Santa Maria neighborhoods, that is basically where most of the multinational companies are located, and all their personnel, all their staff, they need to rent, they need to live there. Everything is walking distance. So definitely that would be like the most attractive as a return point of view. But when we're talking about we do have a lot of alternative. We have on the beach area, the mountain area, there's a lot of expats or retirees that move to Panama, and they love to live or either the beach area or the mountain area. So I believe that is like a mix. But when we talk about just the return on investment, I believe that the highest demand is on these two neighborhoods that are in the city itself.
I see. During COVID, we'll go back to that for just a minute. People found out they could work remotely and not have to go into offices, across the United States. People learned that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So during that time, did you see an increase in purchasing condos and homes in Panama at that time?
Well, actually, at that time during COVID, they decide just to move to the interior, and they prefer just to work from their beach house or the mountain house instead of living on a small apartment on the city. But at the same time, it was easier. It really depends on the structure that they have, the family structure that they have, because we already talked about for so many months and years about the effect of COVID. But when we talk about how this affect investors, I think that at the end, it's a mix. We have a demand for everything. We have demand for people that are looking for more, let's say, a bigger property, and the property in the city is a little bit is have a price, and the property in the interior is with a lower cost. So I feel that it really depends. It really depends on what the investor is looking for.
So when you're looking at just say a baby boomer moving into Panama from either Canada or the United States, and they're looking for not necessarily a huge return on their investment because they're not buying it to rent short term. They want to live there, and they want to be living in an economically affordable area. What would be an average price for a smaller home that would fit, say, two individuals?
Sure. Well, I think when you think about an average price will be something around 180,000 and 350,000, more or less, because it really depends on the location.
Sure.
And finishes are very similar actually, so it's not like a main point. I feel that it's based on location. It will be in that price range. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people that are retiring from the States and from Canada, basically, and they love to move to Panama based on our weather, based on the cost of living. People can, you're gonna ask me later on probably something about the visas and all the stuff. One of the requirements is to have an income as a pensionado, as a retiree of $1,000. So once you can prove that, is because that's more or less what you will really need as a person just to have a decent and comfortable life in Panama.
So you're talking 1,000 per month. That would be cover, food and clothing and shelter.
Right.
Wow. That's why the baby boomers are headed that way to Panama.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's incredible. Well, Eric, I think NAR put a study out a couple of years ago about baby boomers and the fact that every day 10,000 baby boomers are turning age 65. Okay. And so that's retirement age. And so a lot of those people are making their plans to move into other countries, into Portugal, into Panama, into Costa Rica, different places like that, because they find it more economical to live a lifestyle that they had here, but yet do it on less money, because a lot of people didn't save a lot of money during the working years because they couldn't. They had children to put to school and college bills and things like that. So, as well as I do, to find an economical place to live is what you would need at that very last chapter of your life. Which brings up one question I have about hospitals and medical facilities and things like that in Panama. I know you and I had a discussion about a certain medical procedure and how more economical it was there than here in the United States. I mean, does that hold true with medicine and doctors and hospitals as far as having a better price than we do here in the United States?
Definitely, most of the people that retire to Panama, they do have their own insurance, and most of the insurance works in Panama with no problem. At the same time, the cost of going to a doctor or a clinic is very, very, very low compared to the States. So whenever you go you have an insurance in the States, and you pay your monthly payment to your insurance. Once you retire, whenever you have to visit the doctor, you have to pay something, or it's 100% covered. You have to pay a deductible, usually.
Absolutely. There's a co-payment, is what we call it here.
Okay, so at the end, that co-payment will be equivalent to what I believe that what the cost of the visit to the doctor will be here in Panama. So it's definitely cheaper. It's less expensive than in the States. That's what a lot of the people are retiring in Panama tell me, whether my insurance doesn't cover, or if my insurance covers, there's no problem. But if it doesn't cover, the actual appointment with the doctor or whatever I need here is so economic compared to other countries, compared to the States or Canada. So they feel, very comfortable about it.
I want to get into a couple of other things about school for expats that are there doing, digital nomads, I think is the name for it today. But first, what about a certain requirement to purchase property in Panama? A foreigner can come to Panama and purchase property. Is that correct?
Anyone can come to Panama and buy a property and have the same treatment as a Panamanian. They have the same. If you come tomorrow to Panama and you buy any property, you treat it the same as if I buy it. It's the same treatment for everyone.
Okay, so there's no process about the visa that we have to have, or
no. You can buy a property without having a visa with no problem. But at the same time, if you want to have a visa, there are some incentive for investors as well. For instance, there is a visa that is called the permanent residence for qualified investors. That's the one that you can buy a property of $300,000 and you will get the permanent residence right away.
So you can have you can be a resident of Panama with a $300,000 or more purchase of a residential property.
Exactly. You have three options, or either you buy a property of $300,000, and the property will be it could be $500,000, whatever, or X amount, but you have to pay $300,000. You have to prove that you paid that amount. Even you can get a loan for the difference, but the only thing that you have to do is give from your own funds, and it has to be an international wire transfer that comes to Panama. You have to show that you did a wire transfer and you did the payment from funds overseas, and then you will qualify to get the residence as an investor buying a property. Or you can invest through a broker's house, $500,000, or you can create a time deposit on a bank for $750,000. And everybody prefers just to buy a property. They have a return on investment. They can leave the property, depending on the building, on the project that they invest. It could be an Airbnb unit. So at the end is fantastic. So most of the people prefer just to invest 300 or 500, depending on the taste or the budget that they have, and they buy a property. They have a return. They can have a valuation of the property. So it's the easiest way, actually.
To go back to the moving into Panama, and just say you're coming in and you have a family, a small family, and education is going to be at the top of their mind, the parents, about providing a great educational program for the children. So what's available? What's available there in Panama? Okay,
it's important just to know that we do have local education that is very good, and we do have private education, and the private education have both school terms, let's say calendars. One is the same calendar that we call American system, or it's exactly the same year period that you have in the States. And then the other one is the Panamanian system, or the school year that goes from February to December. So let's go. The Panamanian system is they start school on February, they graduate or they finish the year in December, and then the other one is exactly the same months from the States. And those are what we call international schools or high school or elementary schools. And that's the one that most of the people that come from multinational companies, they put their kids in that system, based on just to make sure that they don't lose time from year to year when they travel from one country to another one. But we have a lot of alternative. We have great elementary, education here in Panama in reference for alternative. Remember that all these multinational companies, I don't want to say the name, but let's say Procter and Gamble, Grainger, L'Oreal, all these companies that they bring their staff here to Panama, they relocate, they bring their family, the whole family with the kids and everything. So at the end, they come here, they do the sightseeing, check where they're going to live and everything. At the same time, they go to do the school search, and they coordinate everything through the relocation companies. And once they move to Panama, everything is set up and it's much easier. Everything is completely, smooth.
So you mentioned companies, these Fortune 500 companies moving into Panama. Do you see a lot of, what kind of mix do you see coming in? Do you see a lot of technology companies coming in? Have you seen an influx of new companies over the last 2 years, or what's the status of that? What do you see moving into Panama at this time?
Okay, right now we have over 140 multinational companies that are working on the country of Panama. Most of them are in the city, and it's a mix. It's a mix of services, technology, logistics. There's a lot of companies that they finish the manufacture locally and they re-export it. So it really depends on what are the needs. We do have a lot of, when we talk about visas, a different type of visas. We have, we feel that we have like a big catalog of visas focused on what people will need. That's something that during the last years, Panama have been working pretty hard just to make sure that we're more and more competitive. And basically, you told me what kind of visa you need, and I can assure you that we have a one that is like just fixed for you. So at the end, it's something that people are considered. That makes the country more attractive as a whole.
Sure, it does. Sure, it does. In talking about people moving into the country, and I know that there's specific neighborhoods that are designed for kind of home-to-home living, side-by-side subdivisions and things like that. What type of security do you find in those neighborhoods? Are they gated? Do they have a surveillance? What would be security systems in those neighborhoods to protect the residents?
Well, when we talk about these gated communities, it's very similar. Let's take as an example Miami. If you go to Miami, you have all the different. You have Kendall, you have Doral, you have all these different neighborhoods, and whatever you have there is very similar to Panama. We do have security guard at the entrance. Is a gated community. You have cameras also if you need it. Actually, it's not that we need it because the security is very good on all these neighborhoods, but it gives this comfort that that is secure. And even for instance, where I live, we just lock the house at the end of the day. My door is always open. So we feel that it's quite secure. We do have a guard at the entrance on the gate, that is normal. But in general, is very similar to the States, and it's something that gives you that, that piece of tranquility, probably that people feel that their kids are secure, they're safe while they're working,
Yeah, sort of peace of mind.
Right, exactly.
So to speak.
That's the right word.
Yeah. Well, what about what about shopping centers? You know, people love to get out and shop, and I've been downtown in Panama City, and I've seen a lot of stores there. But as you move into the suburbs, what about shopping centers and things like that for people to get out and have entertainment as well as shopping?
Yeah, actually, we do have all kind of alternative. We have big shopping malls, and where we have all these big brands and fancy brands, and we also have street malls. So for instance, in the area of Costa del Este and Santa Maria, we do have actually it's one big shopping mall that is the most modern one actually, and at the same time we have a lot of street malls, street plazas. So we do have all kind of these services. We have drugstores, laundry areas, laundromatic services. We have doctors, clinics. Give me one service. We have everything. We have theaters, dentists, all kind of services on these street plazas. So at the end, we feel that we have everything there. We have all these services that are up to a point that you don't need to get out of the neighborhood. You have everything there. And that's the same thing on these two that I mentioned, the same as San Francisco or Barrio, or right now my office is in Paitilla. Here in Paitilla, we have all kind of the services around. So we don't need to move out, everything is walking distance actually.
Well, see, the reason I'm bringing this up, because as you and I talked earlier before we even started the program, a lot of people know Panama. They know the Panama Canal Zone, and they don't know much more about what Panama is all about. But it's a huge destination point where people are moving, and all sorts of people, from retirees to the younger people that have gotten out of college, that have been shipped off there to work with different companies. And it's just a best all around world for anything that you would want. And also, let's talk about climate, and then we'll move on. Tell me about the climate. Now, we always hear about the rainy season and the fact that, you've got that going on. And I think today you have the temperature is probably about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Right. And maybe you had a little bit of rain this morning, but what's considered the rainy time for Panama?
Actually, we do have Panama. We have a lot of rain. I can lie about that. But in general, when it's like rainy season, the last months we can say there are from probably August to November, more or less. So there's a few months that is more rainy itself. But in general, when it rains, it's like in the afternoons, not in the morning. So we can work around that. And then basically what is December, January, February, March is like summer, So I think that we have a lot of alternative, a lot of things to do in the country. So raining is not an issue. Definitely, if you're planning to walk from your apartment to the office, you have to think about it. If you need to get your umbrella, that's normal. Because it's walking distance from and that's what people love to have. They love to work very close to their offices. When we talk about these multinational companies or these young executives, that's the way that they do. They love to, even in scooters, they take their scooters and they go to the office.
We've talked about property, and I think now is the time to let you show one of your properties that's fairly new.
Okay.
And you can tell a little bit about it as soon as you pull that up and share it with the viewers.
I have this project called Bioma that is a new project. Actually, it launched less than 11 months ago, 10 months ago, more or less. And right now, Bioma is a new project that is going to be constructed in Costa del Este neighborhood. It's a very modern concept that you have all these amenities. You have, as you can see right now, is a big building. You have with very ample terraces and high ceiling. The distance between floor and ceiling is 3.2 meters. Okay, so it's considered a very ample apartment. when we talk about the amenities, you're going to have all kind of restaurants. You're going to have a two-star Michelin restaurant on top. You're going to have a heliport. There is a big demand right now for these units. Believe me, we do property management for the last 24 years, and we don't have any vacant unit in this area because there is a huge demand.
So let's talk about that. I think you mentioned that it went on the market. I mean, like pre-construction contracts,
Right.
and maybe it's 70% sold at this point in time.
Yes, it's incredible.
And that happened over 8 months?
Over almost 10 months. Yeah.
10 months.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. It looked like at the very top that there were like 3-story penthouses.
Yeah, actually, it's not a penthouse. It's the social areas, the like areas. You're gonna have an heliport on the last on top. You're gonna have a huge and very elegant restaurant with Michelin star, two Michelin star. You're gonna have all kind of amenities. I will send you the presentation so you can add it later on.
Okay.
And at the end, it's a project that just by who's the developer, who's behind, having sold pretty fast, and the experience and all the expertise that the previous project that the developer have done with fantastic results. People love it. People love it. So I will send you the information later.
So if you could give us just maybe one price for, and I think you said that you know someone that purchased one there.
Yeah.
Was that a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or what?
No, I told you that I bought one there.
Okay, you bought one there.
As an investment point of view.
Or an investment property.
I live in the area, but I have my own house. So, but I have 3 kids, so I have to think about them too, So
Sure.
at the end, let's say what is the price per square meter? We can get an apartment of 1 or 2 bedrooms. Let's say 2-bedroom apartment for around 390,000.
Okay.
We're talking about like 85 square meters, more or less, and with 1 parking space. But you have all these facilities. You don't need to move out from the building. Okay, and these projects are the ones that people are looking for now. As you mentioned, people are working more and more from home, and this building have all these, as I mentioned, all these facilities. That you can have meetings on different spots from the building. That you can have the social areas, the sport areas. It's something out of this world. It's a unique project.
And again, tell us where that's located.
That one is in Costa del Este.
Okay. How close is that to downtown?
We're talking about driving time, probably like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. In the specific one that you purchased, what about we call it here in the United States, the HOA fee? What would be your monthly assessment or monthly fee that you would have to pay?
On this one, we call it maintenance fee. That is the same, right? This one is 2.75 per square meter.
Okay.
75 cents per square meter.
Okay. And you said how many square meters of the one you purchased?
The one that I purchased is 130 plus 30 of balcony.
Okay. I tell you, it's a beautiful property. And if you're 70% sold out, it's going to be sold out by the first quarter of next year. I feel certain about it.
It's fantastic. It's incredible.
Moving right along, are there any selling restrictions? Once I buy a property in Panama and I'm not necessarily a resident there, any selling restrictions on me when I sell the property or make a decision to sell?
No, there's not any restriction at all. Once you own the property and you want to sell it, you only have to pay the sales tax to the government. You need to pay is 5% of the sale value.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer as far as a question to ask you, but looking at the property that we just saw and looking at other properties in Panama, what does it look like over the next 3 years in your mind as far as growth, as far as the values going up or down?
there's always, depending on the point of view of the person, no one have like what we call, the crystal ball just to figure out how it's going to be the market. What we have to check and be very, we always positive, and optimistic, but we have to be realistic as well. So I believe that there is no way that I can tell you the expected growth will be around, I don't know, 10, 50%. I cannot assure you that. But what I can tell you is that we are building these projects because we are out of stock. People feel that we need it actually, and then Panama is being very competitive during the last years, and the forecast that we have is that we're gonna keep on that track. So I think that based on this information, we feel that it should have a very attractive return. I cannot give you a specific number, but what I can tell you is there's a lot of investors that, let's say, 12 years ago or 10 years ago, they bought property, and nowadays that property is like 3 times current value. So it is attractive. Yeah.
As a global realtor and your involvement for many, many years in Panama, what would be, if you were talking to a person that just had the thought, I'd like to move to Panama, what would be one of the first things you would tell that individual, not necessarily to persuade them, but just based on your experience about why they should move to your country?
I think that Panama is unique, honestly. I feel that we have our connectivity and our geographical position makes Panama more and more attractive in comparison to other countries. There is a lot of incentive and benefit of living in Panama. There's a lot of people that they don't know that Panama is a very small country with a lot of benefits. As you know, we have a world-class logistic platform. We have the US dollar as legal currency. We have a great and very stable international banking and financial center. And we do have high quality education, world-class communication infrastructure. So at the end, when someone is considering to move out from their country to go to another one, just to restart or start working on another business or something, or just relocate for any reason, they have to consider that they need to have a place that give you all this incentive or attractiveness, So they feel that it's a good idea just to move to another country. There are other neighbors, we have Colombia, we have Costa Rica, we have Costa Rica for so many years have been working on tourism and nature, and they have done a quite good job in reference to the branding, in tourism. And well, I believe that every country has their own, incentive and benefits. So that's why a lot of people are moving to Panama. Okay, so
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about other countries, but in general, every country have their own unique, their own benefits. But I feel that Panama is doing quite good.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to sell Panama because people need to hear you from your point of view.
Sure.
As you're a native there. I mean, you were born and raised there.
Yeah, I think that Panama have a lot to offer. I believe that, as I mentioned again, the geographical position helps a lot. The distance from here to the States, from here to just to Miami, we're talking about 3 hours plane.
Yeah.
So it is a flight. So it's very close. And once you get here, you're gonna feel that you're in the States. It's very similar. The language, the dollar, the currency, the food, the lifestyle, everything is very similar to the States. So people feel comfortable. And believe me, there's a lot of Americans that move to Panama and they really enjoy it.
That's for sure.
With the tropical culture, but it's cool. It's very nice.
Listen, it's been a pleasure having you today. And I do want to get back with you a little bit later in the year and talk a little bit more about Panama and what's happening, because it's evolving, it's changing. I mean, new people are moving in, new construction's coming up all the time, and I would like to see more inventory at some point in time. Maybe we can do this mid-year and just do a quick update on where we are today, where we're going to be then. And like I said, it's always good to talk to you. Eric and I go way back, and every time we have meetings with the International Real Estate Federation, we always have time to sneak off in a corner and catch up and talk a little bit about personal life as well as business. And I really appreciate you and Evelyn and your family, and we'll get back together soon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Actually, I have a great time with you, and you're fantastic friends too, you know?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining in on today's episode of RealtyCast Global. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified when new episodes air.